What is going on, guys? Brandon here. We have your May 2023 investment portfolio allocation update. This is the kind of the flagship article, flagship video of what we do here. And we talk a lot, we run our gums a lot, we spout off a lot, because I have to get it out somewhere, because I'm usually not just talking and running my mouth in everyday life. I'm actually an introvert, so I have to let it out somewhere, I have to let the steam out somewhere, and this is where I do it. And this is the reason why we do what we do. It's the walking the talk and backing up what we have actually been saying for a long time, and actually putting out there what we're doing and how we have been successful over the last decade plus. So we need to understand truly where we are, and that's why this is important. That's why this is so important, and hopefully you get something out of this, and you can build wealth with this strategy as well, because I believe it's kind of an all-weather approach, to be quite honest, and especially the last 10 years, and what we're going to even more. This is going to pay off in spades going forward. This is not financial advice, it's freedom advice. If you like freedom, then listen up. If you don't, then move on to cat videos, move on to the Kardashians, move on to what politicians are doing, move on to fantasy football. Don't care. This is for serious students. This is for people that are actually trying to figure out what they're doing in life, actually getting ahead, actually getting wealthy. That's it. That's it. If you want freedom, if you want to be the 3%, the patriots who are going to fight the fight, and this is a peaceful fight, fortunately. We don't have to pick up arms. There's not a Boston Massacre. But if you want to be part of the peaceful revolution that is going from centralization to decentralization, from chaos and slavery to freedom, well, here you have it. We've got the fight here. The real political party. I saw the 2008 crash live from my apartment on the campus of MSU and thought to myself, that's weird. Both sides are in on the charade. George Bush starting the bailouts, Hank Paulson, his boys, and then Obama coming in and dropping the floor out and finishing the job. One party started and the other finished. It just didn't make any sense to me. I had been a Republican my entire life, a conservatarian in that ilk, and thought, hey, we're the party of small government. We're the party of freedom, of liberty, of getting out of people's lives. Stop telling everyone what to do. That was generally more of the conservative. There was, when I was very young, didn't realize that the Democrat Party had some of that too, right? They had some of that, like getting out of the Vietnam War, let's stop war, stuff like that. And a lot of those signals get crossed, though, with media trying to divide everyone and understanding that truly at the end of the day, 90% of people think the same way, right? 90% of people don't even understand that they think the same way. I've actually had many fights over the last 5 years with Republicans, with people that believe like me or did believe like me or whatever, and they fight to keep that system. They don't even know they're fighting for the Roman Colosseum, or they're fighting for these two sides bashing each other and getting nowhere. That is the uniparty. The uniparty was revealed to me at that time. It's this charade being played to confuse you and to not have you understand what's going on. So that way, at the end of the day, there's a lot of tools the way they do it: chaos, propaganda, division, polarization, hate. Right? And they use the media, they use academia to brainwash you, and they use the media to brainwash you and to tell you where to look and how long to look at it. This is the mechanisms how they do it. The money, though, is what's important to them. Money and control, right? So you ask Brandon, well, why are they doing it? Well, money and control. They believe they are the end-all, be-all. They believe they are God, and they deserve all the power in the world and all the money in the world. So that's what they want. And they do that by stoking division and chaos and distracting you from the real game, which is inflation. The real game, believe it or not, is just simple. It's inflation. It's decoupling the money from the currency. And they did that. It was taking the silver, really 1913, the Federal Reserve Act, and then 34 with the Executive Order 6102, with Roosevelt taking stealing property from the U.S. citizens, and then 44 with Bretton Woods, signing that into effect, and then 64 taking the silver out of the money, the coins, and then 71, finally the last death nail was taking the gold out of the paper. That's where we are. That's what leaves us here today. What the F happened in 1971? Everything is hockey stick, the debts, everything. Hospital administrators, number of lawyers, you name it, off the reservation because we have broken the money. And that's how they inflate everything away, higher costs, lower standard of living, and they get to suck all that wealth away from people without asking you to do that, without asking you. They get to tax you without asking you. It's taxation without representation, and they play it to a T. And that's how you have these endless wars, gender reassignment surgeries, everything you can imagine. everything you can imagine. The abortion debates, both sides, everyone's seemingly at odds, and no one's getting their way, and they're fighting each other because it's all propaganda. It's all just a laser, chasing lasers because they get the propaganda of the media to distract you with what's going on, and that way nothing gets done. Nothing gets done. And at the end of the day, we don't want anything done. We actually don't, because that means government is getting too big when things aren't getting done. We shouldn't even be, the government shouldn't even exist, quite honestly, right? The government's just a construct. It's just a way to organize individuals. If you're following the golden rule of do unto others as you wish have done to yourself, you wouldn't need anything. You wouldn't need money. You wouldn't need, you wouldn't need any of this government. So unfortunately, that's not the reality. We live in a world with humans and human emotions. So we need that. This is where Bitcoin comes in. Rules without rulers, someone that you don't have to trust, something you don't have to trust, unlike fiat currencies and governments where they constantly are breaching that trust, as Satoshi Nakamoto said. So that's where the Uniparty was revealed, realizing that this is really an apparatus of the Central Intelligence Agencies, FBI, all these agencies, intelligence agencies, NSA, Director of National Intelligence, all these people, right? And they're all in on this to keep this war machine running, and that way they can keep stealing wealth, keep people scared, keep people in chaos, and keep taking freedoms away from people. That's it. This is a power game. This is a game of risk. War doesn't like, you might not like war, but war likes you. And you have to understand what kind of war you're in. An information war, a cultural war. And you got hot wars going on too. Trade wars, currency wars. And it's just getting started. This is why we talk about preparing, questioning everything with boldness, and understanding and preparing what's going on. Because massive chaos is coming and massive opportunities on the backside of that. For those that are prepared. I went down the rabbit hole of learning monetary history and what money was. The game was revealed, and I spent 10 years trying to learn the game and invest in real estate that would hedge the chaos and produce cash flow. I am not an expert at real estate, but I'm pretty damn good at it. Who in the world has time and ability? Again, we can make money out of nothing. I've raised money, I've created money out of thin air. Raise money, fix things up, refinance, pulled all the money out, infinite returns, gave all the money back to the people, plus some, and bought properties for nothing. Literally nothing out of my pocket. It takes experience and it takes education to do that. It took me a long time. This led me to realize who is going to be able to do this? Who is going to be an expert real estate guru, a stock picker like Warren Buffett, or hoping politicians, that the politician people, the politics people, which are a lot of people. I was that person, hoping the right guy was just going to get in and that's going to be the answer. Well, that just won't cut it. That won't cut it. Fortunately, during that very crash, where I was awoken, where I was peeled off the mattress, and I became wide awake to the masses fleecing people and the unproductive class and rent seekers at the top doing this fleecing. Many people had been working on the very solution humanity needed. Some of those people were Satoshi Nakamoto, Hal Finney, Nick Szabo, and Adam Back, and many, many more. Many more. They had recently, and this is decades in the making, people trying to find a way to produce digital scarcity. They had already correctly diagnosed the problem, but the money was broken, and there needed to be a solution outside the halls of government and in the hands of the people. Like our founding fathers said, there needs to be money issuance back in the hands of the people. The diagnosis. These pioneers realized that the fiat currencies of Earth have all gone to zero. All of them. Every single one of them. Every one of them in history. Read that again. Every single one of them. So what do we expect to happen with the dollar? We can already see it's lost 99% of its purchasing power in the last 100 plus years. So where do we think it's going here? Do you think it's going to go just gain all its power back again? No, of course, it's going to lose the rest of it. The government steals your time and energy through inflation, currency printing, like we already explained. If you live in an inflationary world, this is very important, where fiat currencies rule, then you must get into good debt that produces cash flow to hedge. That's the world we're in. That's why many people aren't ahead and can't get ahead, because they don't understand the game is assets. It's not taught in school, purposely, obviously. They don't want you to know that assets are the name of the game. You have to sell your dollars, your depreciating liability, your depreciating thing, right? Container, and you have to sell it into assets, into hard, tangible things that hedge their value or increase in value over time, that are rarer than the trillions they can print. Again, this is not taught in school purposely. You have to hedge. You cannot hold dollars long term. This is why so many people end up poor, because they're holding this liability they think is an asset. Heck, you can even make the case that many people in bad debt, credit card debt, student loan debt, everyone will win because they were living large, keeping up the Joneses. And then they will have their neighbor pay off their student loans, give them PPP, welfare, Medicaid, Medicare, etc., and etc., and etc. And as I predicted, I believe in my heart of hearts They will have their houses paid off when they can't afford them by their neighbors because government will offer them. And again, I've been saying this for a while, and I published this a while ago. And then sure enough, we have people with bad credit being paid for by people with good credit. And I think that might just be in California, might not be nationwide, but it's coming. Where do you think this stuff starts? Price controls, rent controls, stuff like that. You will have the producers subsidizing the consumers at an even higher level. Where do you think this ends? So the people in debt are the ones who win. That's why when you drive down the road and you're saving and saving and saving and you're trying to live below your means, you're looking around and like, how come I have the worst car on the highway right now? Because I've been there. I've been there the last 10 years. And I got mad at myself. I got mad at people. I got mad at I got mad at other people. And realizing that, oh, you're just not playing the game properly, Brandon. You aren't playing the game properly. Because these people, whether they know it or not, are playing the game. They're getting into debt. Good debt, bad debt, didn't really matter. And again, this is not financial advice. This is freedom advice. This is understanding the process. We have to understand the game we are playing. And I predicted, they will be bribed into using the central bank digital currency, the slavery coin, the spy coin, by, hey, you're going to own nothing and be happy, but it's okay. We'll give you pay off your house. If you just download our government currency app, we'll give you an extra 10 grand, 50 grand on top of buying your house from you. You'll rent it from the government. We know how that goes, how well they do that. Banks can't even do it. I mean, corporations have a hard time, can't even do it because it's too big, too much. So good luck with the government doing it. You see how they run the VA and the DMV, and healthcare, and on and on and on. So they're going to be your landlord now. Welcome to dystopia. This is the path. This is the path you are on in an inflationary fiat world with central bank digital currency, spy coins, money, wealth that will be shut off with a flick of a switch. Period. So these two systems are very different. You have to understand this. Those saving dollars are falling further behind because they are saving liabilities they believe they are an asset. The wrong side of the balance sheet. With a debt-based system, to get ahead, you must get educated and get in good debt. In a sound money deflationary world, saving capital makes sense and puts you ahead. Only in a sound money deflationary world. This is why we advocate for Bitcoin here. It's not because Bitcoin is the end all be all. It's because of the properties of Bitcoin, because it's sound money, because it's deflationary, because it's the best answer we've ever had. It wipes the floor with gold and silver. Gold and silver was great for thousands of years, except it kept getting centralized. It couldn't move over space easily. So it would get centralized and people would issue claim checks against it. And it kept getting into the wrong hands. Now we have Bitcoin. Dollars don't work because they lose value over time. No one has to become a real estate expert. So this is, if you're in Bitcoin, if you're in this world, again, dollars don't work because they lose value over time. So you can't save those. You don't have to become a real estate expert, a guru. Again, believe me, I went that path. I became that person who, I don't know who else is going to do that, right? That was my life. I literally had a real estate company. I had to have a real estate company to do this every day for 8, 10, 12 years to become an expert at it. And no one has to be a stock picker. No one needs to gamble on crypto and NFTs. No one needs to gamble their retirement away. No one needs to, go to the moon and moonshot and all this garbage. All you need to do is what you've been taught to do your entire life, which is save more than you spend in Bitcoin. Remember, an asset, not the liabilities, not the fiat currencies. And you will outrun all the governments and all the politicians printing over the long term. That is what Bitcoin does for every human on Earth with an internet connection or the ham radio or a mesh network or a connection to a satellite, etc. The banking, the underbanked, banking, the unbanked, literally aligning all incentives and freeing humanity from the shackles of government's distrust and inflation. Here is the May portfolio allocation. You can go check the last month where we had March and April as well to see how it changed. It changed a little bit, not as drastic as last month. So I didn't have the last one in here. I deleted it and didn't have time to get it back, quite honestly. But you can see here, it doesn't change too much. Cash is down a little bit. Again, our cash has been getting eaten away by our dollar cost averaging of Bitcoin because we're saving the hardest thing possible. I don't want to save in dollars. I don't need to save in dollars. I would just produce more dollars monthly, and then I spend them out, or I take them, and then I buy assets with them. Buying Bitcoin. Buying something that's going to beat everything long term. It's going to beat life insurance. It's going to beat real estate. It's going to beat stocks. It's going to beat all those things. Just crush them. Absolutely crush them. It's 100 to 150% a year. Cumulative average growth rate. Cumulative compound annual growth rate. Can't talk. That's why this is so important, to understand what we are saving in and using what we already know and just making little shifts to outrun what these people have in store for us. Bitcoin, not crypto. The price of Bitcoin holding firm in the wake of the banking crisis over the past 2 months. The real time frame, though, is 5 to 10 years minimum. This isn't some get rich quick. Wow, that's a good minimum. This is not some get rich quick scheme. This is not some hey or high flying thing. People are like, oh, Bitcoin's down half in the last 8 months. Like, cool. Talk to me in 10 years. Like, I'm saving long term. I don't have a 401k. I don't. I want control. I don't want someone else in control of my life. Government's not in control of my life. No company's in control of my life. I'm in control. I control my assets. If you see our portfolio here, they're all assets we can control, basically. Business we have control in. Bitcoin we control, a bearer asset. We have very little paper because we don't control that, and there's a time for that. Rental real estate, again, we have most of the control over that. You have property taxes and things like that. We have most of the control over that, right? Commodities, bearer asset. We own the gold and silver. Cash, we own it, even though it's owed back to the central bank, the dollars are, but we actually have it. We have it on our persons or somewhere around us in vaults or around the world, or they're on us somewhere in different locations geographically. This is how you become a wealthy person long term. There's a family in Europe that was rich for hundreds of years. It's kind of like a parable, a story that's kind of passed down. And they were asked, how would you maintain your wealth for 400 or 500 years? And they said 3 things: art, land, and gold. Art, land, and gold. That's how. It's not by trying to pick moonshot crypto or stocks or fancy paper gimmicks and things like that. That's not how people get wealthy long term. And again, getting a 3, 4, 5, 6% return every year ain't gonna cut it. That is not gonna cut anything because you are losing. Real inflation is 15% a year, so you are losing 10% every year on your wealth. Good luck retiring like that. We need something that beats that. You're either going to have to get into real estate and learn how to be an expert and have infinite returns and understand how that game works, which I know is not for everybody, or everyone can save more than they spend and save in Bitcoin, which is literally available for anyone and anyone can do at any time, all day, every day, and actually save their way to wealth and prosperity and actually have capital and have a world that's incentivized into saving instead of incentivized to corruption, quite honestly. Corruption, inflation, and stealing other people's wealth. Now we actually have the vehicle to do it. Like I said, with Bitcoin, asset becomes more valuable over time. Instead of a liability, all fiat currencies, that get printed into oblivion and worth less over time. And remember, this is the alternative they are prepared to do to you if you save in the dollar or at a bank. This is the FDIC telling you there will be bail-ins. Don't know. This is we have tens of thousands of video clips, just this minute clip I made on our YouTube channel of these guys literally go, oh, don't scare the public. They don't need to know. This is just for anyone who needs to know. You don't think that everyone who is storing their time and energy in there needs to know? You don't think that, bud? Okay. These are the people you're dealing with. And again, if you put your life in their hands, you get what you deserve. We have about 34% in Bitcoin. And I expect this to become a majority of my portfolio in the next 5 to 10 years. Probably be 98 to 99% or more. So here is checking with hot wallets, maybe a couple $100, just like a wallet you keep on you, connected to the internet. So you transfer your cold storage to your wallet, daily purchases, buying your coffees with it, stuff like that, sending payments to people all across the world instantaneously, cheap and free, Moon, Samurai, Blue Wallet, etc. And then retirement and savings cold storage is stuff you don't touch, really. You pass down to your children and creates massive wealth over time. Massive wealth. Blockstream Jade, Cold Card, open source. I'm not even a big fan of Trezor anymore. Blockstream Jade, there's Seed Signer, Cold Card. There's another one too. Anyway, I got to update this. I'm going to update this. So take your assets into your own custody. Real estate, positive cash flowing rental real estate is not your primary home. The theme throughout our success over the last 10 years is patience and more patience. Moves investing should be methodical. They should not be quick and punchy. I may sell this property that I was talking about, I'm trying to refinance for 9 months, or do some type of 1031 or seller finance to not trigger a taxable event. Nothing really has changed here. Again, we've cleaned the property up, we got it lawn mowed and everything, so we may be selling it soon, or we may be, I hate selling property, I hate getting capital gains taxes, but I want to put more into Bitcoin, and I kind of want to be done with stuff, so this property I might. All the other properties we're keeping. They're fine because we've redone them. We haven't been able to redo this one, and I don't want to put a ton of capital into real estate in areas that I'm not super fond of right now. So this doesn't check a lot of my boxes. So it might be something we get rid of and then put into pristine digital collateral, the hardest asset known to man, Bitcoin. I will mainly focus on multifamily apartments and self-storage in the future because the economies of scale and just the people we know and talk to and that we hang out with and the community that we're building. So we have a 32% currently in rental real estate. Commodities. Now, again, gold, silver, oil wells, uranium, copper, wheat, corn. Primary assets with no counterparty where you control your wealth is never a bad bet. Plus, it can provide a lot of cash flow and hedging to protect yourself. Again, primary assets. You can never go wrong owning primary assets. Control is a massive characteristic smart investors look for in their investments. Central banks went on a gold buying spree the last 10 years, which bodes well for holders. You know gold and silver are going to play a big part going forward. I think Bitcoin, again, is going to crush them long term here in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years to be the fastest horse. But gold and silver are still going to have a big play going forward because the central banks and the big guys at the top own a lot of it. So they are going to make sure the price runs at some point, but they're just getting ready for that time. We have about 16% in commodities. Paper, which is stocks, bonds, IRAs, stuff like that, life insurance, etc. Same as last month. I don't have much in here, and again, this hasn't changed because this is not the right time. Again, we will show you, and I'll show you when phase 2 kicks off and stocks are undervalued. I like buying when there's blood in the streets. Then you can pick up great rental real estate, dividend value stocks at great prices that throw off great cash flow. Remember, we make money when we buy. I also like to buy things. Again, this is very important. I also like to buy things I know a lot about. Bitcoin, real estate, gold, and silver, I know a ton about. I've been studying them for 14 years. I'm and doing it and investing and building the businesses. I'm still studying and learning and taking courses on stocks and selling options and things like that. So I'm not ready yet. So this is the time to educate because we're not in that cycle yet to be really buying stocks and really real estate either. So you want to be educating yourself in those areas. Paper and real estate are bound to plunge and have an invisible crash or have an invisible crash against other assets. And here's how we look at this. Again, the Dow to gold ratio is a great indicator. And we look at these times where in 1980, the Dow to gold ratio was way down. I think these are the 30s or 40s, way down as well. These are great times when it's under 5, under 2, when you want to start picking up other assets, when you want to start picking up stocks and getting rid of your gold. When it's way up here, 15, 20, 25, etc., it means that gold is undervalued and stocks are overvalued. So that's how you find value in things. And we show this website all the time, Price in Bitcoin 21, as well, where you can look and see Bitcoin compared to housing, Bitcoin compared to the Dow, compared to a beer, compared to a Happy Meal, and see the value of Bitcoin, where Bitcoin is, and where the value of these assets are. That's how you find true value. Americans know the price of everything, and Americans, I should say, as Mike Maloney says, Americans know the price of everything and the value of nothing. You have to divide things by each other to find their value over time. This is why once it gets under 5, we will know when this ratio is under 5, it'll probably be a pretty dang good time to buy a lot of assets, to be quite honest. So this is something we'll be continuing to track and watching, and we'll talk about it. So cash in our businesses, patiently building and growing your education while stacking cash and sats, Satoshis, waiting to see what will play out, like we just talked about earlier. I will only be in cash for another 6 to 9 months or so. I keep buying more Bitcoin and dollar cost averaging and may buy a little more gold. I want to stay liquid, and those assets are perfect as they increase in purchasing power, and I could trade them out for cash flowing assets at any time. Cash on hand is also good in case our long-term view of inflation is wrong. If we experience massive deflation, again, you want hedges for no matter which way things go, and the dollar increasing in strength, the DXY, then we will be able to use the dry powder, the cash, to buy more assets as well. Crashes usually take 2 to 3 years to play out and fully bottom. So remember, we still have a ways to go. We still have probably at least another year or two to things to truly bottom. That goes for everything, stocks, everything. We have about 15% in cash. And this is a true inflation rate by John Williams Shadow Stats. We're about 13%. And that's probably low in itself. That's just the way they did it from 1980, and they've changed it. Because right now, look, they're telling you it's 4.9 or 5%. But truly, if you look back at how we used to do it, inflation has always been way more. This is the secret stealth inflation. Not only is inflation stealth tax and stealing from you, your property, your time and energy, but they also calculate it differently, so you don't even know the right inflation rate. So we're in true clown world. And in conclusion, wrapping this up, what is the point of life if you are not free? Are you really free? Can you do what you want when you want? Do you have the time or money to do it? Will government let you? Most people live the illusion they are free, especially here in America. We all do it. I'm guilty of it. Step back and assess your situation. How free are you? How well do you sleep at night? Are you ready for another toilet paper shortage? Are you ready for a food shortage? We're 9 meals away from anarchy. Are you ready? Are you ready for more bank holidays, more banks collapsing, your money being locked up, the credit lines freezing up, credit being gone, your credit lines being gone, gas pumps not working. Get prepared to have assets outside the control of another party. Reliance on government and third parties is killing the individual and freedom. Bitcoin, gold, silver, guns, ammo, security, water, food storage, water purification, seeds, gardening, skills, develop skills, land, and most importantly, building a community of like-minded people. Stay strong. Please share this out. The algorithm hates truth. Hates truth. Again, I'm not an expert. I'm just a student. This is never financial advice, but only what I'm doing and seeing. So it's not financial advice, it's freedom advice. Please share it out because the algorithm hates truth. Question everything. Everything with boldness, even the existence of God himself. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one.